show. This is the Fazlaw show, and I'm your host, Fazlaw Abrams. So, what South Africa has been seeing and experiencing over the last few days is a hype in protesting has created havoc, not only in South Africa, but more particularly in the Western Cape, Cape Town. And people are confused, people are frustrated, and they are becoming violent because of various things. It could be lack of service delivery, it could be the pandemic that's causing a lack of income, and many things. And today we have a guest on our show, more particularly known as Fadiel Adams, the leader of the Cape Colored Congress. Welcome to the show, Fadiel. I think in a more lighter note is that you must be getting Gatvol of being on shows. You've been on ETV, you've been on news, you've been on this radio station, and now you're on our show. But regardless of being Gatvol, we thank you for being on the show. And welcome.
It's a pleasure to be on the biggest show of them all, Fazlaw.
Wonderful. We've got a great history together, and we both now live in Mitchell's Plain, and we know the struggles of the people. So I think there's a lot of stuff that we may relate to. But then also I've got some concerns that I'd like to raise, and perhaps you would be able to answer the viewers what everybody is wanting to know. We had the shutdown of the Cape Colored Congress, and many people were concerned.
On a point of order, sir,
yes.
That was the shutdown of the Gatvol Capetonian Movement, not the Cape Colored Congress.
Right, certainly. And what's the difference between the Gatvol and Cape Colored Congress?
The Cape Colored Congress is a registered political party.
Okay.
The Gatvol Capetonian is just a movement, just a civic movement, a grassroots movement.
Okay.
There's certain things that the Cape Colored Congress will not and cannot say. Gatvol Capetonian is not bound to any of those.
Okay, so we may be seeing more protests, peaceful protests from the Gatvol Capetonian group?
I'm pretty sure we will.
Now, the protest has created concerns, and you've mentioned that it was peaceful, but we also find a lot of people not being able to go to work. They've chosen out of fear of what might happen to themselves. We've seen that they stay at home, businesses has closed for the day because of fear of what might happen to the vehicles and the people. And how do you respond to that?
You know, I have to find the balance in all of this. I understand the need for people to go to work. I do. COVID is going to put many thousands of people out of work over the next few months. Many people are going to need the type of action that we are taking. Many people that are against the action that we've taken are going to need that type of action. Let me say, and I say this with all due respect to everyone, I do understand the need to work. But while some people are complaining about losing one day's wages, we are losing children. While some people are determined to earn a day's slave wages, we are trying to secure the next 100 years. You know, you can't compare.
Sure.
You know, if we get a little bit more support, and we will, these changes will happen. The necessary changes will happen. What gets to me is that people prioritize their own lifestyles over the needs of entire communities.
Right.
Like when a person from, let's say, for example, Strandfontein jumps up and says, but I need to get to work. I had one person in Mitchell's Plain saying, it's my son's birthday. How can you people be so inconsiderate? And I go like, people will be beating their sons if we don't do this.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a word for it. It's called selfishness. I don't have time for it. I'm explaining this to you because you asked the question.
Sure.
But I don't entertain selfish people. I don't.
Sure. So you're asking the viewers and you're asking your supporters to be selfless, or even those who don't support you, and to be selfless and consider that one day of sacrifice is worth the sacrifice for years to come for the greater community.
That's exactly what we're saying. What we're also saying is, look, when the lockdown started, government was supposed to step up. See to it that as citizens have simple things, masks, food, soap. It didn't. Do you know who stepped up? We did.
Sure.
We did. We started 22 soup kitchens in various areas. Kept them supplied.
And we'll get to that point when we speak about the right to life. My question further would be regarding your section 9. And I'm going to speak about the Constitution, more particularly the Bill of Rights, particular sections. And I think that those are the questions that people want to know the answers to.
You do know that you're speaking to a school leaver.
No, certainly. I'll refer to the section, and I'll also tell you which section or which right it refers to.
Just letting
As
you
I'm the attorney, so
I'm just letting you know that you're
too.
speaking to a very simple mind, yes. Sir.
Right. No, I can respect that, and I appreciate that. So Section 9 speaks about the equality, right? The right to equality of, for example, your public protector, your Human Rights Commission. Those are institutions that are created out of Section 9 of the Bill of Rights. And usually, if you as community if they have an issue with government, then they would approach the Human Rights Commission. They would approach the public protector. And with Gatvol Capetonians being there, and also the Cape Coloured Congress being the spin-off political party, as a leader of, I assume that you are the leader of both?
I'm the interim president of the Cape Coloured Congress, and I'm the spokesperson for Gatvol Capetonian.
So can you respond by explaining to me why do you not follow the process of approaching the Section 9 institutions?
Because government has long left the building. Okay. Because our Section 9 institutions are a waste of money. We've given to the public protector a paper trail, hard evidence of a City of Cape Town contractor having stolen money from the poorest of the poor, having been paid to do X, Y, and Z on the Cape Flats, having run away with the money, having been fired by the City of Cape Town, only to be reinstated 2 months later, moved on to newer, bigger contracts. That is the public protector.
Sure.
From what I understand, the woman might as well work in the office with a DA sweater on. She will not move against them. Then, last year, with the last shutdown, the Human Rights Commission came out there, made a big fuss about it, organized a housing summit. We're supposed to organize for the City of Cape Town to have the mayor there, Tertius Simmers, the MEC for Human Settlements, and the National Minister.
Sure.
Two of them showed the Human Rights Commission the middle finger. We proceeded with the summit. We put our evidence on the table. Proof of coloured marginalization, of the abuse of the housing process, of how our grandmothers still sit in backyards 35 years on the waiting list when 25-year-old boys from the Eastern Cape are getting houses. The minister promised action. The Commissioner, Chris Nissen. 1 year later, we are still waiting for him.
So are you saying that these Section 9 institutions that has been created for a particular purpose with a particular mandate are either failing or they're ineffective?
I'm saying close it and save us the money. It's worthless. It's toothless. You can't go anywhere if you apply via a government institution in this country. It does not happen. Section 9, what is Section 9 these days? Since Thuli left office, all Section 9 institutions are falling apart.
And would it not then be necessary to maintain the institution but change the role players? Or do you feel that the actual institution is just not a proper vehicle?
You know, Fazladdin, I'm a great believer in that you must apply business principles in government institutions. That the bottom line must be the most important thing. That production must be the most important thing. If Section 9 institutions are not showing us a positive balance, then I say close it. That's what I say. Because it's like government, man. You're going to replace one band of looters with another band of looters. That's just how it goes.
I was a bit concerned when you mentioned that you want to apply business principles, because business principles would be to make a profit regardless. But you are referring to the profit not being financial.
Not financial.
You're referring to the profit being the effect that it's supposed to have, which is to uplift community.
I'm talking
and to secure the rights within the Bill of Rights.
When I say a positive balance, then I'm talking about the growth in our material condition. Sure. Change in our material condition. If we have a housing institution, let's use local government.
Let's speak about that. Section 26 speaks about the right to housing. At the moment, your plight, your fight is about the housing list, the waiting list, the fact that there's a lot of backyard dwellers, and how, if you should, and I'm going to switch between the Gatvol Capetonians and also the Cape Coloured Congress, but ultimately, if you are in the leadership or in the management position within either parties or either organizations, then certainly I think the viewers would like to know as to what you do. So you speak about you want housing. How do you address that situation if you have to be in Parliament and you have a voice within a oversight committee or in the National Council of Provinces?
Well, you know, we need to be realistic. There's no money left in this country. Let's be honest about it. I don't know if we can ever solve the housing crisis that the ANC has created. Well, apartheid created it, but the ANC has perpetuated it. I don't think we could do it in our lifetimes. So let's be honest about it and say, we're going to prioritize how houses are handed. Elderly, disabled first. Everyone else will have to wait. It's just that simple. It's mathematics. Then we're saying, we look at all vacant local government land, all council land, and it will be returned to its original owners. Understand that District 6, as far as I'm concerned, is a distraction. They're acting as if all coloured people in the Western Cape lived in District 6. We didn't. We lived everywhere. Now, if you take into account the fact that our mayor, Dan Plato, I'm convinced he's a white man in reality, made big fanfare when they changed the name of Keisergraaf to Jordan Street. 24 years later. 24 years to change a street name. I find it disgusting. I think the man should be ashamed of himself. Consider the fact that when they decided that they wanted our land, it took them days to make the decision, hours to draw up the paperwork, weeks to evict us. Why can't we have that same expediency, that same determination? I mean, it's the same people that run government, isn't it?
Yeah. So you and I see your focus is a lot on the local government. Yet we're speaking about the Bill of Rights. Yet your plight is about your housing. It's about food. It's about equality. And these are all Bill of Rights that are supposed to be protected and by the national government. Why is your focus more on local government in the Western Cape with the DA compared to the fact that national government has a responsibility to ensure that these rights are protected?
I hear you. As far as I'm concerned, the Bill of Rights applies throughout, at all spheres of government. You see, I'm a different type of coloured man. I'm one that can see the wood beyond the trees. The ANC is not my government. The Democratic Alliance is. I live in the Western Cape. They govern here. I could shoot at the ANC all day. We should throw petrol bombs at the ANC. But the ANC is not my direct problem.
So are you saying that the local government has a responsibility to be your voice to national government and say, national government, you're not performing your obligations within the Constitution and the Bill of Rights? Do it.
Is that not why our people voted for the DA?
Sure.
To take our fight to the ANC?
I get your message. I'd like to move on to the next particular section, section 28. And what we're looking at is the right to a standard of life. We are talking about the kids, you're talking about the children. And I think your plight is quite strong on building a productive society, a society that can function and not be dysfunctional. And Section 28 refers to that. The government has an obligation to give our children a standard of living that is suitable or basic. And you feel that they are failing in that aspect?
Dismally.
Sure.
Let me put it to you like this. COVID is here and we are under lockdown with strict rules and strict penalties. COVID will kill many thousands of us. There's no doubt about that. But 3,000 people died on the Cape Flats last year. Gun-related deaths only. 95% of them coloured males. Where was the state of emergency for that? Where was government for that? Gone, left the building, didn't care. We're on track to be 3,000 this year. Where's government for that? 45 farmers died countrywide, and it's called a white genocide. The DA pushes hard for a commission of inquiry into it. If you want to make it simple, let me simplify it for a simple mind like me. 45 divided by 9 is about 5. I don't know, I might be wrong. That's 5 murders per province. 5 people will die in Mitchell's Plain today. Where's the commission of inquiry into that? Do you understand what's wrong here? The Bill of Rights doesn't apply to us. Now we take it a step further. How do you fight gangsterism and drugs? Education. What does Debbie Scaffer do year on year? Closes a coloured school. So no to education. How else do you fight gangsterism and drugs? Sport and recreation. They want to build houses on our sporting fields. They don't want it near the suburbs. Segregation is alive. If our children keep dying. How else do you fight gangsterism? Education. Higher education. Varsity.
I want to touch on that. And you speak about the fighting gangsterism. And I think there was a post on Facebook saying that if you're fighting gangsterism, then you should be fighting the gangsters and not the government. What's your reply to that?
Who creates the gangsters?
Yeah.
You know, certain people, I'm sorry man, suffer from tunnel vision. The gangster is a problem, but he's the symptom. We need to go after the cause. What is the cause? The lack of education, the overcrowding of the ghettos, the denial of access to opportunity. Those are the things that drive gangsterism will be here forever if we're stuck with what we have right now.
So
do you know how many brilliant kids I know that will become gangsters because of their living conditions? Many, too many. Do you know how many brilliant kids I know will die because of their living conditions? Way too many.
I agree with you. I've seen it happen. I mean, growing up in Mitchells Plain myself, I've seen individuals who obtained excellent marks, received bachelor's passing in matric, and then they enter into a life of gangsterism because of the pressure with the community where they live in,
the need to survive,
and the need to survive. Their parents may be being drug addicts themselves, and they are born into that life and cycle.
I could use you as a case in point right now. You had to wait until you were almost 100 to become an attorney because of the conditions around you.
Right. Look, there's a lot of people who also made it out, and I think the focus from the individual out there would be that if they could do it, then certainly the 98%, if 2% or 1% or 0.5% could have done it, then certainly the others could do it as well. What's your response to that?
My response to that is very simple. Even the apartheid state allowed 2% of us to function because they needed that 2%.
Yeah.
If they don't need you to function, you won't make it out either. The system is set up like that. Understand that one of my best friends is a director at Standard Bank. We grew up together. Brilliant young man.
From Mitchells Plain?
From Lavendale. I'm not from Mitchells Plain. I moved here for a woman. We do stupid things sometimes.
So
we do
you
stupid
should go back to Lavendale.
Please set me up to date. I'm saying that some of us do make it.
Yeah.
Some of us are lucky enough to make it. You know, the sad thing is, man, all of us can make it. All of us have the potential to make it. But too many of us take that one wrong turn and never come back from it. You know, we've devolved as a people. But poverty and unemployment will do that to you. When this is all I have, this is what I'll protect.
Yeah.
You know.
That brings me really to a point where I want to ask you this question, because now you are basically going over the borderline of who you are as a leader within a political party or a leader within a community group. Who is Fadel Adams?
Wow.
What foundation do you have as a person when you wake up in the morning and look at your fellow human being, your neighbor, the child in the road? How do you apply yourself? What principles do you live by? What values and morals do you have as an individual?
I should have asked the questions before I came on the show. You know what? I wake up in the morning, most mornings, and I go, God, not another day like this. Because that is my people's existence. I get up in the morning and I need to go to Heinz Park, Montrose Park, Lavendale, and the material condition is terrible. And that is why I wake up in the morning to make small changes. I'm never going to make big ones, you know. Not while our people are still mental slaves. That the person that I'm trying to help today needs to help himself, but won't because he looks towards a white man to help him. We've been conditioned to do this. 400 years of conditioning, we're not going to undo it in 30 years. It's not going to happen. So yeah, I personally don't think that I'm the nicest person in the world. You know, I have to be honest about that. I would like to tell you that I live by the spiritual principles taught to me by my elders and my betters at Narcotics Anonymous. I have to be honest about it and tell you that I don't really. I know what the principles are, and to an extent they guide me. But Fazladdin, you know me. I need to work on this. My temper is short. My bullshit tolerance is extremely low. But that's because I'm a results person, man. I'm not interested in excuses. Not yours, not mine.
Yeah.
We do this to the best of our ability, and we move on from here. That's me. I love kids. Everyone's kids. I doubt that I could be accused of being an affectionate person. But you know, it's how we grow up. I think I got maybe one hug from my dad my whole life. Yeah, I think I'm there. I think I do a little bit better than that when it comes to my own kids, but not good enough. And these are the things that our kids need to learn. And sadly, people with no skills at it need to teach them. I don't know how.
And I think just what you've spoken about speaks about you being selfless as a principal. You also mentioned that you're not perfect. I mean, that's humility in itself. You've spoken about commitment, where you wake up every day and you go and fight for others. And that's selflessness, and then there's commitment of doing it every day as you wake up. So I think there's much more principles that you mentioned about the spiritual principles that was taught to you by elders and peers. And I think it's just that...
Elders and betters.
And betters, indeed. And I think it's just about sometimes we live by a certain code, and we may not be able to define and pinpoint it what spiritual principles it belongs to, but it's there. I mean, you are humble. You apply selflessness. So well done on that. And in doing or being who you are, it certainly has a direct impact as to how you will lead your followers, how you would lead your people, how you would lead the political party or even the community group. And my question to you is, in next year we're looking at the local elections. And I think there's definitely aspirations from a political point of view to have a seat in Parliament or have some sort of voice for the Cape Coloured. And I want to touch on that particular topic as well, in terms of the marginalization. So 2 questions. One, and I think I want to start with the first question being, why Cape Coloured Congress? Why? And I'm sure you've been asked this question many a times. Do you find that you are marginalizing yourself from the white, the Indian, and the black voters with that name? And 2, what will the Cape Coloured Congress do for the voters out there, should they find themselves having a seat within government?
Well, let me start you with a history lesson. Way back, I'm no good at dates, there was a party called the Coloured People's Congress. No one said anything about it. There's nothing wrong with the name. I think in the 60s and the 70s there was a party called the Natal Indian Congress. No one shot them down. The Inkatha Freedom Party is in actual fact a Zulu organization. The DA makes they make no excuses for the fact that they are a whites only party, propped up by coloured support. The Freedom Front Plus is even more extreme. 11 seats in Parliament, 11 white males. The ANC has made many tribalistic comments, and that's okay. I'm understanding that in the new dispensation, everybody can have a voice. Everybody can be proud of their identity, except coloured people. That is my understanding of the new dispensation. In the new dispensation, I need to constantly justify my skin colour, my Afrikaans, my culture. Why? The Cape Coloured Congress was deliberately chosen because it's time that we claim our identity. You know, we've got the whole Khoisan argument. Do I look Khoisan to you? I am the product of Javan slaves and Khoi people. You know, I believe that if I'm going to call myself Chinese, I need to look Chinese.
So you're saying regardless of the name, it does not mean that the political party stands for the rights of the Cape Coloured. It stands for all races?
The political party is formed on the basis of equality. That in order for me to be equal, I need to be able to speak for myself. No one else is going to do it for me. No one else has done it for me. You know, we are prepared to fight for white rights, Indian rights, black rights, because we all have rights, all of us. Sadly, one group, one in particular, has been overlooked. You know, I say it again, to the people who have an issue with a name, that sounds like a you problem, not mine.
Sure. Second question. What can the Cape Coloured Congress do for the voters coming in, should they find themselves with a seat in Parliament?
Let us understand that this is a local election coming up, and these are all about local issues. Most of our people do not understand what local issues is. It's about the upkeep of parks, the maintenance of schools, clinics, recreation, job opportunities. That is what local government is about. We can't fix SAPs. That's a national, that's a national competency. Our people do not, for the most part, understand the difference. But we are going to look at those issues and we are going to address those issues. We want to know and we want to have a direct say in how the local municipalities spend their budgets. Why white people receive 10 times the services colored people do. Why black people receive almost no services in general. I need to say that because it's true. People speak about my statements about the Eastern Cape. We are now having discussions about how we, from here, can hold the Eastern Cape government to account, because they are the reason these people are coming here. They need to clean up their house at home so that the poor black man does not need to leave his children to go and look for work 3,000 kilometers away. These are the issues that we need to look at. Understand that most of these people here are here because of poverty. Poverty their own government has inflicted upon them. But our people are expected to pay the price for it. See, we can't pay for the sins of apartheid. That's unfair. That's unfair. And that's why the Cape Colored Congress is here.
Thank you, Fadil. In conclusion, I'd like you to give an opportunity of a few seconds. And you have followers, you have voters, right? What would you like to say to those who are not your followers at the moment? And how can you win them over?
I understand that I'm not for everyone. I understand that my language is not for everyone. But understand that you can accuse me of many, many things. Many. And you could probably be true. You'd be right on many of them. But what you cannot doubt is my commitment to change. You know, if you don't need this, what we're busy with, your kids will. And that is what we're fighting for. So like I said, we are fighting to secure the next 50 to 100 years. Equality is everything to us. You know, if government is fair to us, you'd never heard of fadiel items or Gatvol Capetonian. But they're not, and they're not going to be. So this fight is all about equality. It's about a colored voice. 24 years into democracy, no politician has ever stood up and said, what about the colored people? Well, you can't do this to the colored people. The Constitutional Court has said you can't do this to the colored people. The Constitutional Court itself. No politician has followed it up. We're going to follow it up. We want equality. We want to see a colored middle class. We want to see varsities full of colored children. We want to see colored engineers and doctors and lawyers, things we don't see at the moment.
That was Fadil Adams, the leader of the Cape Colored Congress and the head of the Gatvol Capetonians. So we've spoken about the Bill of Rights, the sections in the Bill of Rights, what the organization would be able to do for the viewers out there. And he has raised many points, valid points, and he has also answered many questions that are currently unanswered or concerned to the viewers and the followers and the non-followers and the members of the community. So I think it's very important that we engage with individuals like this. A lot of people has maybe thought that the protests are a method to promote violence. The protest that has taken place was non-violent up until a point where they stopped their protesting, their peaceful protesting, and that's where it became violent. Very strangely enough, I saw on SABC News that video footage was shown, and I was shocked because certainly as a news agency, they were supposed to be non-biased and they had to definitely secure their facts. And what I saw was videos being shown of violent protests taking place the day before, and it was alleged that those protests were a part of the Cape Colored Congress. Definitely something to speak to, definitely some bias there.